Let's see, let's get this in the right place. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much. So today I'm going to talk about accepting the unacceptable because I've had so much practice at it. Don't ever want this much practice. Please, don't ever want this much practice. But I realized, and I couldn't stop thinking about, of course, I couldn't stop thinking about it, what had been happening. And so anyway, this is what came out of it, all these thoughts over weeks and weeks. So just in case you don't know, I'll briefly tell what happened. Larry had a small stroke on December 21st, and when he got to the hospital, I met him there, and he had quickly followed by a seizure and 2 heart attacks, all within 10 hours. And I just so appreciate the way I feel as if you gathered around me and held me up through that whole time. I just appreciate that so much. But that's what our community is. That's what our community does. But to hear Brett say, everything is perfect just the way it is, I loved it and I hated it. And I don't use that word hate very often, but sometimes it's totally appropriate. So what is unacceptable? And I realized as I was thinking about this, inevitably, there are every day, every single day, every single one of us is tortured with the unacceptable about life. And so I want to explore what we can do, what we always do, and probably, maybe, hopefully give you a few new ideas. So what's unacceptable? So it's unacceptable that I've developed a tremor. And I mean, you've been seeing me tremble over the last many months, and it's unacceptable. It's not fair. But what was good about Larry getting sick, it made me remember how we're vulnerable. We're all very vulnerable, and we can do and be more to lift ourselves up. And I think we start by opening our hearts. I was there at the hospital. He was in cardiac ICU for 6 days. And every day it was so funny, there was this giant bank of these machines telling you this and that, and waves of things going. And of course, I didn't know what most of them meant, but the numbers that I would ask, how is he? And the nurse would say, well, the numbers are starting to get a little better. It's like, not him, but the numbers. So, and what really helped me and us was there was Larry with tubes down his throat, so he couldn't talk, and he was held down on the bed because he would have, if he had not been held down with ties, he would have pulled those tubes out of his, and so he was sedated most of the time, those first 6 days. And when he did open his eyes, we would look at each other and just laugh, because the absurdity of the situation was so profound, that a person can go from being perfectly lively to being near death. And under strange circumstances, and so it was all very strange. And I don't, but I tried to find my way out of it was to laugh with Larry, and the other way was to open my heart, just open my heart to what was going on and accepting what was going on, even though it was unacceptable. Because what happens when you begin to accept the unacceptable, you begin to change. You begin to open to the possibilities. You begin to open to the secrets that are held in those events of impossibleness. So the first thing I wrote here was that laughter opens your heart. And my favorite way of getting the news about the politics that are going on in the country, which are totally unacceptable, just horribly, horribly unacceptable most of the time, are the late night comedians. Because they are doing very well in this age. The government is not doing nearly as well as we would like. And so I go upstairs to go to bed, and I put on somebody. And it's just hysterical. It's just hysterical. It just, I believe in laughter before we go to bed, and I don't care if I'm listening to politics or not. But I believe in laughter. So the other way we need to open our hearts is by relaxing everything. Noticing, witnessing, and relaxing. Those two don't go together all the time very well, but you can relax. You can breathe deeply. You can relax. You can relax about what you think you ought to be wearing, or how you ought to look, or the clothes, or the food. We need to relax a little bit more about our transportation, about who we are and what we're doing in the world. Relaxing and witnessing, and then if we pay enough attention to what we're doing, we begin to say, oh well, there I go again. We begin to forgive ourselves, and I think that's very important. And imagine forgiving others. Imagine forgiving others. And we do this if we're willing. So relaxing our ego, watching our ego act out things in the world, and giving up control. How to be at peace now. This is from Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose, and I hope to read this book someday. I just open it and find things. How to be at peace now, by making peace with the present moment. The present moment is the field on which the game of life happens. It cannot happen anywhere else. Once you have made peace with the present moment, see what happens. What you can do or choose to do, or rather what life does through you. There are 3 words that convey the secret of the art of living, the secret of all success and happiness: one with life. Being one with life is being one with now. You then realize that you don't live your life, but life lives you. Life is the dancer, and you are the dance. So when we are in the present moment, there's nothing else happening. There's no past and there's no future. But sometimes it takes a quiet place, a quiet space, a quiet mind, a willingness to just be. And I think both Larry and I learned that going through what we've been through. Somehow I had the presence of mind to be able to say to myself, we will get through this. I will get through this. I'm going to be fine. And I had to repeat that many times a day. I'm going to be fine. And so the miracle is I'm fine. It's quite a miracle. And when I was saying I'm going to be fine, I really worried about the future. I worried about how long this was going to take and whether recovery would be complete in any sense of the word. And it really is complete. I'm sure that Larry's body is still healing, but he can do everything he was doing before. So I believe, this is interesting, I believe we are meant to struggle because we live in a world of opposites and of diverse experiences. The little turtles, once they're born out of their shells in the sand, they have to struggle to get to the sea. And the butterflies coming out of their cocoon will not be able to fly unless they're working their wings to get blood flowing in their wings to become butterflies, to fly. To actually fly, they have to struggle to fly. And I believe we are meant to struggle too. So I go to the gym frequently and I watch people. And if as I'm exercising, I'm watching other people. And I've never, I've always very reluctantly done these machines, these weight machines. But if you do it a few weeks in a row, and not too frequently, so you don't hurt yourself, you find a sense of peace in there, and a sense of that you're doing the right thing for yourself, because when it's all over, you feel better. You feel better. So this is why we're meant to struggle. It strengthens us. It strengthens us. We live in a world of opposites. However, we're not meant to suffer. And frequently, we can, what was hard during this time, when I was sitting in the hospital and when I was driving back and forth, was the sense of pain, the sense of despair and depression. And those were also my constant companions. And I'm trying to understand, I'm trying to expand myself to the idea that we're not really meant to suffer. We're meant to struggle. We're meant to work hard. We're meant to create. And sometimes that's a struggle, but it doesn't need to be suffering. We don't need to suffer. And I'm hopeful because I think as we have two hands and as we have the yin and the yang, the suffering and the hope are together in our understanding, in our hearts. As we open our hearts to a wider picture of what is, we find that right along with the suffering, there's hope. Because we just can't have one without the other, because it's not our nature. And the important thing for me was to not deny any of those thoughts or feelings that I was having. That this is a very painful experience, and not to deny that feeling, and to open myself to just being available to that feeling, and knowing that that one feeling of suffering was not, or of pain, was not the only feeling I would ever have again. So I suggest we try struggling without resistance. And I suggest that I suggest that we challenge ourselves. And we do. But I get a lot of delight about challenging myself. And that's why I'm up here. Otherwise, I would be sitting down there. And I have done that most of my life. But I believe that challenging yourself keeps you young, if you want to stay young. Aging is another thing that's unacceptable, I've decided. True enough. So if you want to learn something, try teaching it. And watch everything. This ability we have to witness everything, that is our spiritual center. This understanding that we are so much more than we look, and we are stronger than we appear, and then we feel. What we accept we can heal, and as we are accepting the unacceptable, we are beginning to heal it. The thoughts that we need come forth in that acceptance, and watching ourselves do this. So I want to. What was amazing is my printer worked. I couldn't believe it. It worked. It worked properly, and it worked twice. It worked once last night and once this morning. So I wanted to share with you this poem by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. My friends, do not lose heart. We are made for these times. And I just want to read a couple parts further in the poem. For years, we have been learning, practicing, been in training for, and just waiting to meet on this exact plane of engagement. We have been waiting to meet each other. The reason, she says, any small, calm thing that one soul can do to help another soul, to assess some portion of this suffering world, will help immensely. It is not given to us to know which acts or by whom will cause the critical mass to tip toward an enduring good. What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding to, adding more, continuing. We know that it does not take everyone on earth to bring justice and peace, but only a small determined group who will not give up during the first, second, or 100th gale. One of the most calming and powerful actions you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul, shining like gold in dark times. The light of the soul throws sparks, can send up flares, builds signal fires, causes proper matters to catch fire. To display the lantern of soul in shadowy times like these, to be fierce and to show mercy toward others, both are acts of immense bravery and greatest necessity. So never doubt your courage and your ability in accepting the unacceptable. I'll go on and read a little more. In my uttermost bones I know something, as do you. It is that there can be no despair when you remember why you came to earth, who you serve, who sent you here. The good words we say and the good deeds we do are not ours. They are the words and deeds of the one who brought us here. In that spirit, I hope you will write this on your wall. When a great ship is in harbor and moored, it is safe. There can be no doubt. But that is not what great ships are built for.